All right, so there's a lot of questions today as to what is the cloud and what does it mean to be on-premise, and is there any combination between the two of them? So let's kind of start with just a few simple definitions. The cloud is another name for the internet. It means that your information, your programs, your applications, they're someplace else. They're not at your business, they're not at your location. Now that may be a giant regional data center from some huge provider, Microsoft or Amazon or one of the big guys. But it could also be a small regional player that is very specific to your industry, to a specific niche. Might even be just at your local software company. Being on-premise is the opposite of that. It means that your programs are running on a local server or local PC there at your location. And your information is all there. It's all located where you are and is available to you whenever you're there. Now, the downside of having information locally is that if you are traveling, if you're remote, if you're not at your business, you've got to figure out some kind of a strategy to get back to it if you need access to that business information. If you are in the cloud, that information is always available to you. So there's some advantages over on both of the cases. Now, in a hybrid cloud model, really what we're talking about is a strategy of where's the best place for my information? What information should go one place? What information should go maybe in another place? Let me give an example. Email is a great product for placing into the cloud. It's a very low cost service as a whole. It's aggregate. There's a lot of users out there. We see prices as low as $2 to $4 per user per month to host email. That's pretty cheap. And you get a lot of really neat advantages. And plus, email is one of those things you really want to have access to wherever you're at. Not just when you're at your business. You want to be able to access it on your cell phone or your iPad or your PC, wherever you are. So having that in a giant data center with somebody that can really do the scaling to get the costs down and add a lot of services makes an awful lot of sense. Now, there's some other information, though, that gets a little bit more hairy when we put it out into the public clouds out there. And that's very private information, such as if you're a doctor, patient records, if you're a bank, client records, if you're just a manufacturer or somebody that's involved in research, it could be sensitive data, private data that you've got that is very, very essential to you and very unique to you and would be really damaging to your business or to you personally if someone else got access to that. So why do I mention that? Well, if I'm a big giant data center, I'm a big giant target. A lot of interest in trying to penetrate into there and a lot of information to mine, a lot of gold in the vault, so to speak. If I'm a little small player, a little small server at a little small location, maybe nobody even knows about me. And if they do know about me, I'm a very small target with not as much of a payday. It's probably not going to be something that gets focused in on. You see a lot of the breaches that have been in the news lately, and it's big companies. Target has been an example of it recently. Sony's been an example. Many others. We've seen issues with Microsoft. We've seen issues with Amazon, issues with Google. All of those are big, big targets. There's also something called a denial of service attack. Now I won't get real technical, but basically it's when the bad guys get a bunch of robot servers, compromised PCs and routers and various things on the internet that they've hacked into and got control of, and they launch a massive attack against some of these services. And they can actually shut them down. This happened to Sony and Microsoft, both their PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One product over Christmas. And so a lot of the kids got Xboxes and PlayStation 4s for Christmas. They didn't get to play them, in the case of Sony, for over 3 days. Now that's not going to happen to you. You're at your local business. You're probably not going to get a denial of service attack. So there's some advantages in both strategies. Having sensitive information and critical information there where your business is at probably makes an awful lot of sense. For instance, maybe your accounting information, maybe your customer relationship management information, details about your clients, things like that. Sensitive data about patients, sensitive data about that a bank might hold. Those are things that we probably don't want out into the cloud. There's also another factor. People think, oh, I'm going to move everything out in the cloud because it's going to be so much cheaper in the cloud. Well, that's really actually not true. Every time that we've looked at moving clients' information into the cloud, private information, particular information, specific to their industries, we actually found that it's more expensive. You still are having to pay for that hardware. It may not be at your location any longer, so you don't have a big capital outlay, but your service provider, they had to buy hardware. They had to purchase that, and they have to buy bandwidth from the internet service providers. They have to have security solutions. They have to have people running all of this, and there's costs associated with all of that. So moving something to the cloud actually isn't a cost savings, it's more of a convenience factor. And we have to take all of these things into consideration. So what I espouse is what's known as a hybrid cloud model. And that is that we figure out, after some analysis and some conversation, exactly what belongs where. Again, email almost always should belong in the cloud. Some other types of servers and services, likewise, especially if they're really, really sensitive to downtime. And we really want to make sure that we have maximized that capability. Big data centers have lots of internet feed. They've got generators to keep the power up and running. All of those things are pretty important. But if I'm running a retail business with lots of sales and I'm dependent on my internet connection, what happens if my internet connection goes down? I can't do sales any longer. I say I may want to have that program local. So we just have a conversation about what belongs where, and we figure out that strategy. Having a server is not all that difficult. You can have companies manage that server for you, even if it's on premise, so you really don't have to worry about it. And there are even programs where the local hardware that makes you a little bit more resilient to some of these situations actually are billed to you as a service anyways, kind of like what would happen in the cloud. So what we would encourage you to do is just sit down with somebody, a consultant that understands this stuff, and really take a look at your unique situation. And I think if you do that, you're going to find that some things belong one place, some things belong another, and that we'll figure out what the best solution is for you.